Hi Aditi, how are you?
Hello there, I'm good. How are you?
I'm great, thanks for asking. Aditi, first things first, many congratulations to Chaari 111.
Thank you.
I think this is your second project as the producer.
As a producer is my first.
Okay.
Yes. So the previous one I was the creative producer in my own banner, Barat Studios. This is the first one.
Okay, so this is your first movie from your banner.
Yes.
How was the experience?
Dreamlike,
Okay.
if I were to say. Extremely, immensely gratifying. So Telugu industry being so far one of the best industries, and thanks to the lovely audience, big thanks to industry, the actors, the kind of support and the trust they put into me being the debut one, and so yeah, it was just gratitude for that.
Right. When a movie actually works out well, Chaari 111 of course being a very big hit on the OTT platform, I want to understand when we talk about movies, general audiences, even me, and of course since you have told about Telugu audience, I'll talk about the Telugu audience as well. But before that, when you have told that you are the producer and you are a debut producer, and then when there's a movie actually, we always talk about the director and the actors.
Yes.
I'm sure you know about it as well.
Yes.
There are very few people, or there are very few instances where we know about the producer as well.
Correct.
Right. We don't actually look at the producer, like what kind of thing is going on there, whether the budget was right or not, how much did he incur, and was it profitable or not. There are lots of things that we leave to the producer. We don't talk about it much.
Right.
But then I want to understand from a perspective of a producer, since I have you, how was your experience in terms of understanding the movie, understanding the audience, and not us knowing you? Right, because we don't know you yet, we only know the director, we only know the actors.
Right.
So how does it affect you?
I think we are relieved.
Really?
We are just actually happy because they are the heroes, right? It's director's vision, and definitely it's the actor who's putting it out there. As a producer, what we do is we give them the playground. We set up the space for them to execute that, to perform that, to envision their things into reality. But at least I don't know about every producer, but I am somebody who's very comfortable being off the spotlight, and where I just take care of the budgets and the numbers and all that game I'm playing, which is away from the limelight and the camera. So I'm happy being there actually.
All right. So how does it feel? I'll be very honest. Let's say there's this project, right? And of course I'm not the member of the project, but then I have maneuvered, I've helped the members of the project to actually do great, but then at the end I don't get my credits enough. Right. I would be a little disappointed, I'll be very honest.
Right.
Is it disappointing for you to never be on the limelight and you're working, because you're very happy, right, that way? But I also want to understand, are you disappointed anyway that, oh, I should have gotten the credit? You're not like us?
That's what I'm saying. No. Actually, I'm ulta. I'm telling you that I am actually somebody that I'm happy where my product makes bigger noise.
Right.
Like I am more happy if my director and my project and my team is taking the bigger credit out there. I mean, for me, my byline, like in journalism we say the word byline or the credit or something, for me that is my product. Like Chaari, if I go out and somebody is talking about Chaari, that is more important for me than somebody talking about Aditi per se. Right? So people talk about my banner, people talk about my film, I think that is my real victory. Yeah.
I think this is where we call you Bade Log. Bade Log, Badi Baatein. All right. So Aditi, I want to understand, how's your life as in now? Like, how's your life now? How's everything going on?
Life is really good. So honestly, I used to, all this while, for whatever number of years I remember me working, I've been like always the chaser and let's do this and let's do that and this and that. And post Chaari, it has made me very calm.
Okay.
I've somehow slowed down. I'm somehow, studying audience and taking time and planning things, because now from here I want to go to a bigger league, and I'm working on bigger stories and all of that. But I'm having enough time to do my rest of the things as well. Like filmmaking is a part of my life, and I've got some some other things as well. Right. So I think I'm getting enough time for that too, and I'm settling in with ease, and I'm happy being here.
Right. How's life for a producer like? Because in terms of professional aspects, I do understand certain sorts, right? I understand that you have to take care of lot many things. You have to take care if the actor has come on time or not, the directors are doing well or not, the creative team is doing well or not. So lots of things professionally, I might not know completely, but I know to some extent. But when it comes to personal life, I'm sure that you sometimes might be very much caught up in your professional life as well. So how's that balance for you?
I think I always tell my team members, like 24/7, I'm not a producer. I'm producer for those many hours.
Okay.
When I'm in my office, when I'm on the shooting spot, all of that, I'm a producer. But then I take enough time to be Aditi also.
Right.
When I'm back home and I'm unwinding and all of that, I take that enough time to be my little simple self also.
Right.
So, because at the end of the day, we all are humans, striving with bigger aims and ambitions. But then there's a very simple human side to me also, where I'm just cooking, I'm just reading, just writing, little things, and that also kind of fills me up.
Right.
When I have to go back to a producer mode, I know that I'm rejuvenated and filled enough, and I can go back to my space and rage it there. So that's how I go about it. Not that I was always like this.
I get it completely.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone like you to tell this, I'm sure there are lots of struggles behind.
Yeah, I've been that somebody who's always been day and night dreaming, planning things, this, that, and all. But as I mentioned, post Chaari, I've kind of, okay, I'm in a good space, I must say.
Right.
Yeah.
I have heard post Chaari twice now, so I want to understand, how were you before Chaari and right now after it, because now you're content and you're happy as of now, you're good, like your life is good. So I want to understand what Chaari 111 has actually changed.
See, our Chaari 111 journey till here was obviously like any other profession. It had its own journey, ups and downs and all of that. Barkat got formed, my first movie Chaari, to put it all together.
Is your studio.
Barat Studios, yes, that's my banner name. So it was a lot of effort till there, and then to get it all together. This film was also not an easy one, and to do the business with a lot of external factors and markets and this and that, because this is not a usual run-of-the-mill film, and to put it all together and to bring it till here to the audience. Actually, what is filling me up right now is the love that audience are showing me. So why I'm saying is pre-Chaari and post-Chaari is pre-Chaari, I was like, okay, we are doing this, let's see where it takes us and this and that. But today the amount of love I've gotten, my movie has gotten, and my team is, getting in the kind of opportunities and doors it's opening for us.
Right.
So I think I'm in a contented space, if I were to say.
Right. When a movie like this works out, and I'll be very honest, I think I myself have recommended some of my friends to actually watch this with the family, and I really love Vanilla Kishore as well, and I also want to know how is he in real life and in the work life that he has. I'm sure he must be quite the same Vanilla Kishore that we see on the camera, but for you to work with him, how was that experience?
Okay, so if you talk to Aditi, who was like 5 years back, half a decade back, this Aditi had a crazy, pitchy thing to work with Vanilla Kishore, like the Vanilla Kishore, okay? Because I was a big fan of Vanilla Kishore sir, and a lot of scripts we used to be, curating back then. Every character, every script had a character which had Kishore sir into it.
Right.
Then Malli Modalaindi was the time when first time I met him, and my director and I, we happened to pitch this story to him, and he was very kind, and to trust somebody like us, what may come, he is one of the biggest comedians in Telugu.
Right.
So for him to put in so much of a trust and travel with us all this while, so I was on cloud 9, and he's a sweetheart to work with, and yes, he's not even close to what he is on camera.
Really?
Yes. So he's like he's an introvert. Extreme introvert, and extremely focused and channelized. In the chaos of shooting spot, you'll see him sitting in some one random corner and all by himself. And one of the hardest workers in the room.
I think comedians, for the most of the times, comedians were not given their due, to be very honest. But but as far as I know, or the things that I've observed, I think that is very hard to be very honest. What they do is very hard. It's not very easy. You take action, you can train someone, you can do action, but I don't think there's enough trainers to actually train someone be a natural, comic like him and look at his timing and all of that thing. I think that's one of the very toughest job that the film, in a film, I think they're very tough.
I think comedy genre and being a comedian, both are extremely tough because humor is a very subjective thing. Right?
But then you cracked it.
I'll give the credit to my director and my actor, honestly, because Kirti Kumar, he is too good with humor. Like if you meet him in real life also, like he's like a spot on comedy and all of that. But having said that, humor is subjective, but we were lucky, we were able to crack it and everybody ended up enjoying that. But yeah, a lot of comedians, if you were to see, like from Robin Williams to like so many of them, in reality they're completely intense and very different personalities versus what you see. But I think that's their only way to. You cannot be chirpy all the time and in front of the camera, behind the camera. I am sure it gets too taxing. So at least if I were to see Kishore sir, it's two different people. But both of them are equally sensible. If you see, he's not too comfortable cracking any lame, vulgar, body shaming jokes and all. He's very picky about the kind of comedy he wants to do. And similarly, my director was very picky about what kind of jokes and humor we want to play around with. So we had all our sensitive things taken care of. So I think it's just an amalgamation of all these perfect energies coming together.
Aditi, since I've mentioned about the kind of jokes that we take on, India is growing, so the world, and I think we are at a place where it's very technical, very subjective to what jokes could work, what could not, what kind of subject can work, what kind of subject cannot. Because back then, I think due to lack of awareness, there were certain things that we used to take for granted. Today, the social media network is not that easy for us. It's not very forgiving in terms of what kind of subject you choose, what kind of notions or what kind of things you talk about, the taboos that you can talk about, joke around with. For you as a producer, does it also take a toll for you to understand the subjects before you are actually executing it?
I'm very happy, honestly, Dev, that we are in this era because I, like personally saying, I'm not somebody who enjoys any and every kind of humor. Like I really
not just humor, but also the topics.
I really think that it's high time we all get sensitive for each other. You cannot just crack a joke and say that it's whatever, or you cannot make a story on anything. Like today, we are in a sensitive era. You have to respect somebody else's emotions, and I think we are in a beautiful era per se. We are more vocal about certain things which were all hush-hushed at one point of time. We are vocal about certain subjects which were a taboo at one point of time. So I think we are becoming the right amount of vocal, the right amount of sensitive, and also we are having a little more freedom. Because thanks to, as you rightly said, that the audience across the world or India, they are opening up to a lot of new things, like probably half a decade back I could not have thought of a subject like Chaari. I don't know whether it would have worked this big or not, but because when we used to discuss, we only used to have a reference of Johnny English and movies like that. But today if I'm able to do something like that in Telugu in India, I think I'll give a bigger credit to the audience. And they're opening up. A lot of topics are being discussed more openly today. So I think
if we go back to this thing that you just mentioned, I think back then the taboos were made fun of. When we talk about LGBTQ plus community as of today, back then in the movies, if there was a character, a transgender or a gay, lesbian, let's say, people would, it has been shown to us as someone who you shouldn't talk to, who you should run away from, or who you should make fun of. And mass media being one of the biggest, knowledge giver, to be very honest. Mass media is the one who we all look up to, who we all listen to, talk to, or even watch. And if such kind of industries or such kind of platforms are giving us the wrong messages,
Right.
problem comes in. And I think most of our parental generation, yours and my parent generation, if they still have little bit of taboo regarding different things, and even in this generation there's a little taboo about LGBTQ plus community, which is a reality. I think it is because of the mass media, the way they have shown it to us.
I think that's what makes us even more responsible
Exactly.
and extremely careful of what we put out,
Right.
Because we are literally knowingly, unknowingly influencing so many people.
Right.
What may come India is a BNC audience ka space. We are still more of a rural country. So I think we should be extremely thoughtful and mindful of what we put out. Point one. Point two, I think our parents, we can't blame them, because from the age and the era they come from, and the kind of people they were surrounded with, and the notions and the mindsets they were surrounded with, we can't expect them to adapt exactly at the rate we are adapting. Right? So I think we have to give them a little, whatever pace they are also trying to adapt to it. But we are way more faster because we have a bigger access. And but are we using it to our advantage is again a choice we make every single day.
Right. Aditi, when we're talking about also social media and the power that it has today, there's also a wrong side to it. Right. Sometimes social media, when you just mentioned, it's not forgiving, but then sometimes it is also being misused.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Actor and actresses are body shamed.
Right.
And there are lots of things, lots of subjects, lot of movies that we make, and because of them, it comes down to a creative shortage, a creative shrinkage as well. There are certain subjects that people are still afraid to make movies on because social media might not take a good point to it or good note on it. Let's talk about mythology. Let's say in India especially, I think it would be very bold of me to say it, but let's talk about the Hindutva that's going on, that the wave of Hindutva that's going on. Any movie that doesn't accommodate that part is somehow the enemy of the religion, and is somehow the enemy of the people, and it is just becoming a trend, right? When we talk about Beshram Rang song from Pathan, you have seen the outrage to it, and to be honest, it was unnecessary.
Yes.
And it was mindless as well. Right. So I want to understand, even though we have those limitations, but if it's not done right, there is a sort of art where you can't show, or there's a certain art that's getting confined to a certain cage of what people might perceive it, right? So how do you look that, how do you see that limitations as?
See, honestly, I am not comfortable being too vocal about the religion part of.
No, I'm not talking about the religion, but I'm talking about how people are putting you into boxes according to their likenesses.
Right, but because see, again, I'm saying it's a choice we are making every single day. Who are those people? Even those people who are making a big ruckus out of it are the people who are doing it in a different way, probably a decade back. It's not like that time it never existed, because I remember so many rallies in its own way. Probably today it's on social media, back then it just felt a little different. It's been there. Are we one by one supporting the cause? Are we being aware of it is again a very, very subjective call. And I think if more and more people are supporting it, is something we have to be a little careful and wake up to that scenario. But having said that, thinking that let me just cage myself into it and tell my content only to what they say I should be doing is something I think somebody like me, I don't want to comment about anybody else, but I think I still have a freedom to voice out what I feel is right. For me, that is more important. I don't know if I ended up answering it. Right?
No, please. That's
Yes.
Because I also want to understand, because art of course is evolving, right?
Yes.
Art is the only thing that keeps on evolving no matter what. Right? It keeps on evolving to Aditi today. Tomorrow someone else might come and they will expand the art, and then the day after someone else would come and expand the art. So art is never subjected.
Absolutely.
It's not limited to Da Vinci, it's not limited to Rajamouli, let's say, in the Telugu industry. So it's not limited to them, and every day I just wanted to understand how these days social media and all the other channels are restricting art in a way, but of course I understand that it's very tricky as of now to actually talk about it as well.
But the other thing is, today on social media, that's what they say, like even if Rama and Sita only come on social media, they also will be ripped apart. Today, who is not being ripped apart? You name it, and it's a democratic thing. Everybody is free to say whatever they wish to. So it's about you, how much you want to give importance to. But having said that, you cannot just restrict your vision and your dreams and your aim around it. But one should be open enough to look at it, still not give importance to it. Choose what you wish to see.
Right. That's really very insightful. And as you mentioned, even if Ram and Sita would be on social media, there would be things going on. And I actually believe that anything that's in the eye of audience or that's in the purview of public, anything that's public will automatically demand controversy or will automatically demand opinions. Right, and I think the reason why today, I know it might go, in a more other sense. I don't want you to comment on this, but I just want to tell you. I just want to understand how do you see it as. I believe that the only reason why even religion today is getting opinions, is receiving criticism, is because it's in the public view. It's in the public purview. For example, let's say you are a family of 5 at your home, and then your father makes a decision saying that tomorrow let's go to so and so place, or let's not wear this color, let's do this, let's go here, let's visit our aunt, uncle, etc. And since it's between your home, it's just inside your home, and there are 5 people, one person making a decision and 5 people inside it. No one outside would ever come and tell your father, how can you tell that tomorrow you can go on a vacation? Like, no one will question your decisions, because everything that's happening, that's your affair, that's inside your 4 walls. Anything that's outside the 4 walls will garner that kind of restrictions, will garner that kind of controversies. So let's say your father tomorrow goes out on the road and tells everyone that, hey, you know what, everyone has to take a vacation tomorrow. That wouldn't work, right? So I believe religion also somewhere, it is not restricted to our homes anymore. It is out there in public. One of those amazing person, man or woman, they might have thought that let's make a temple outside our 4 walls so that people can come together, have that unity, will worship together. That's a very good thought. That's how a temple or a mosque or a church has been built. But at the same time, once your God was out there in public, it again started getting criticism, like why is your God wearing this, or why is your God like this, your stories are false, our God is better than or bigger than your God, etc., or sometimes your God doesn't even exist, right? Things like that. So I believe anything that's in public, and we are talking about movies here, right? Even when religion is not forgiven, spared, and we are talking about movies and directors and producers, I'm sure what kind of things that goes on. And I also understand the responsibility for you to deliver, for the directors and actors to deliver what the producers have put into the blood, sweat, money. And at the same time, I think you're also responsible to make sure that their art is given a vision, and that there's given a platform for them to actually showcase what they want to showcase. So I understand but then how do you look at it?
I think if I were to summarize it in one line, that's what they say: you have to have a heart of a poet, skin of a thick-skinned person. Right. That's how I would want to operate. I'm thick-skinned enough, but still I'm poetic at heart. So if I were to say, that's how I would. I am too much of noise out there already. So do I wish to participate in that noise, or do I wish to be just doing what I'm good at and taking care of my own little tribe? I think I'll opt for the other one.
All right. That said, since you have mentioned about poet, I want to also understand that side of yours, because you do write your journal, you mentioned. I've seen your poetry. Hindi is amazing altogether, despite I did not understand certain words. I'm really sorry. We are Gen Z in so many ways that we don't understand the beauty of certain languages anymore. But at the same time, I loved your poetry.
Thank you.
I do understand them. So how is it for you, as a poet? Like, when did this start?
I think poetry has been a safe place, and a place where I find my solace in childhood. So I grew up with my grandparents, and ironically, I grew up in a household where I was not allowed to watch television. Like, I was like, one should not be watching TV and wasting time in movies and all of that. So I had a huge, big library at my home. So I grew up in the company of books, and I remember there are days and evenings when my grandfather and his friends are coming over, and all of them are like journalists and literates and all of them, and in evenings we used to be sitting, and there's a poetry session going on, and the very interesting discussions happening at home, and this is how I grew up. So I think subconsciously I absorbed poetry and all of that from there. The storytelling per se, poetry is nothing but that. So there, that kida of storytelling, that's how it started. So and then journaling is something. So I have always been in company of books, and I have not been too human friendly since childhood. I've always I'm better off in my own company, and that's how I used to keep writing. So I have like tons and tons of journal diaries and all of that. So I've always been writing. If I remember, if I'm sitting by myself, I'm just writing and reading. So that is how the company of poetry started.
Right. So I do understand this, but at the same time I also want to understand your journey.
Okay.
Right, because you have been a journalist also.
Yes.
And I just want people to know about it, because I knew it and it was very shocking for me to actually know about an Indian producer who also happened to be a journalist at one point of time. Because what we see as producer, I'll be very honest, someone like me, we think that producer is someone who has lots of money. Right. They can spare 1,000 crores. I mean, they can spare 100 crores, 200 crores. 1,000 is also not a big number nowadays. So you can spare those numbers. If a movie does well, you're profitable. It doesn't, then you're at loss. But somehow you would come back again, and you would have your own ways to actually infiltrate into the market again, or come to the market. Infiltrating is the wrong word. So this is how we see as producers. But then you have a story of yours, and of course this podcast is all about your story. And then I also want to understand your experience, right? So I want to understand right from the start, how were you when you were a kid?
Okay.
And then how life happened to you.
So my story is something very, very beautiful. I own my story and how. So, okay. So I lost my mom very early. So so I grew up, but fortunately I grew up with very, very beautiful grandparents. I had a very slow life because they were retired, happily retired, and we had a big veranda and a slow living where it's only old people coming in. They've seen it all. They've seen life pretty, So I grew up with them where nobody was chasing. My father has his own world. So I have a memory of, I was a very poor student. I was an invisible kid in the class, literally. Back then, even if you asked somebody who Aditi Soni, and nobody would even know she exists in class and all. I was literally like that, totally invisible kid.
Where were you brought up?
Okay, so I am from Delhi.
Okay.
Yeah, so I used to stay in a place called Gurgaon, next to Delhi.
Okay.
So there was my grandparents' home. Punjabis actually staying in Gurgaon.
Oh, so you are a Punjabi staying in Delhi, making movies in Hyderabad.
In Hyderabad.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So then till school it was like that. Then I got adopted by my uncle, and my uncle, my aunt.
I'm sorry, adopted?
Adopted, yeah. Once my grandparents passed away.
Oh, okay.
So they are like, okay, why don't you just come in? So I shifted to Delhi. From till school I was in Gurgaon. 11th and 12th I did in Delhi, followed by my graduation in journalism and mass comm. So 11th and 12th wala Aditi was like confused, invisible, not knowing what to do and all of that. And then some switch happened where in second semester I was very fortunate to get a faculty who could see that, dude, remove your lid and there's somebody very interesting inside. Why don't you just break your shell and come out and do something about it? There's something very interesting inside you. She was somebody who told me, go out, you've got interesting content, you know what to speak, you go out and why don't you participate in debates and this and that and all.
Okay.
I started off from there, and then started the 2.0 version, as they say, which I never knew I had it inside me. So I think I'll give a lot of credit to my nice faculty I had back
May I know
then.
the name?
Her name is Pooja Rana.
Okay.
One of the most beautiful human I've come across. She literally shaped me, and she was the one who gave me the wings to, you could be a journalist and this and that, and all thanks to her. In second semester, I started working. So mornings I used to attend college, afternoons I used to go for a magazine, I was writing for a magazine called Asia Spa, and then night I used to work in All India Radio.
Okay.
So
you were also on All India Radio.
I was also working.
And this was at which year?
First year, second.
No, I mean the year.
Year was what, 2007?
If it's 2007, I must have heard you as well, because I was back then I was a.
But I was the producer there, so I used to gather the content and all
you
of
did not?
that. Yeah, I was not like the orator out there. Yeah, so I used to be on the content side of it. So nights used to be in All India Radio, and then second year I got absorbed by the Statesman newspaper. So I was writing for the state. So I was like, suddenly I found my new me, right? So I was like, I want to do this also, I want to do that also, and all of that. So again, I was working with the Statesman. I was covering Lakme Fashion Week. Then I was going and working in All India Radio. So I had a good 14-15 hours thing packed for myself, and then I finished.
I think it actually takes one good teacher to change our lives, because I have also had a similar story wherein one of my teachers, Sharda ma'am, I still talk to her.
Okay.
I think these people, they actually touch our lives and completely change
And
us.
how? Absolutely, yes. And then, but also I would give a lot of big thanks to my uncle and aunt who adopted me. They had 2 daughters. So we 3 girls were like house and fire. I'm coming at all abrupt hours at night because I'm covering and I'm being a journalist, I'm reaching home late and all. But the way they trusted you and how, because I was operating out of Delhi. My office used to be in Noida, and then I'm coming back home late night. But they had the amount of trust imbibed in you.
Right.
And you know, that is even more of a responsibility. When somebody's trusting you that much, you want to be like, you want to be even more responsible and even more fiery to crack it right and all of that. So I think those 3 years shaped me pretty well. I learned a lot about life in general, about myself, and not too many friends again. So I had 2 people who ended up being my best friends till today. And apart from that, I used to spend major time in library as always. So yeah, so that was about my graduation. Then I got, for my PG, I came to Bangalore.
Okay.
And I got attracted to South per se. There was something very nice about South. There was a lot of simplicity, and I don't know why I was subconsciously attracted to South Indian food, South Indian people. I happened to come across 1-2 more South Indian teachers.
Okay.
So where I was like, okay, probably I should go and try. I reached Bangalore, and it was a 1-year course. I finished my PG there. Amazing experience. It was an overnight journey for me actually. So I remember me applying in Lucknow University, one of the best Delhi universities I got through. Then Bangalore, it's called IIJNM. And then overnight my uncle is like, no, I think you should go to Bangalore. And I was like, okay, let's go. And overnight I shifted to Bangalore. And I think that was one of the best decisions I made in life. Bangalore was a new world to me. Again, amazing faculty I got, amazing exposure I got. And immediately after my course, I got absorbed by Times. And then I started my literal journey as a journalist.
Okay.
And another 3-4 years of being a journalist, and it was a very nice experience. I fell in love, and I fell in love with South, and you know, all of that happened.
Fell in love as in with a person?
I fell in
romantic
love
relationship?
with a, yes, romantic relationship.
All right.
Yeah, so he was my faculty in the same college, honestly. So a young, charming faculty, and I was in love with R. Madhavan.
This is my first time seeing someone. I mean, I've heard about girls having crushes on, you know.
I had a crush on the same guy, and luckily it happened to be mutual. So I just turned out to be lucky. That's how. So
the last thing I've seen this is with Shah Rukh Khan in one of his movies, falling in love with his teacher. But now this is like, okay, nice.
Yes. So that South was always lucky for me. Then I got married and all of that. So it's been. So that was about me being a journalist, and then while being in that college, I was into print media. There was another electronic media.
Okay.
And then I saw people going out for shoots and doing all of that, and you know, electronic media in front of camera, and a lot of chaos being managed at the back end.
Okay.
Slowly I got intrigued into that world. Like I was somebody who's like, I don't want to be in front of camera, I don't want all of that, I want to be a writer. That's how I chose print journalism for myself. And then when I saw electronic media, and then I reached out and I'm like, I want to give it a try. I really want to, you know, try short films and stuff like that. Then I had a brief stint in advertising, again, in the production side of it, and how do we manage all of that. Then my husband and I, we were running a film school in Bangalore.
Right.
So there my job was to shortlist the right content for students and produce tons and tons of music videos and short films.
Okay.
I think while I was training my students, I was also getting trained to be a producer. You know, it was like a mutual thing. So we had a lot of award-winning films and music videos and accolades, what we were talking about. It won, like Bombay mein, many film festival, it won awards. So I think I became a yes person by then. I wanted to try everything under the sun.
Right.
So days used to be about this. So morning I'll be a journalist, and afternoon I'll go and I'll be a film producer, and then till night we'll be shooting, and then again morning I'll go and I'll be a journalist. So this is how I was juggling the balls.
Right.
And so almost a decade of me producing a lot of this content. Then by that time I decided that journalism I skipped on the way. I was like, a lot of things were changing back then, and I'm like, I think I've found my calling. I'm really liking to bring the calmness to this chaos.
Right.
You know, I want to do this for the rest of my life. So I think
I mean, as much easy as you sounded, I also understand the struggle behind all of the things that you've mentioned. I did not particularly know about your childhood, but since you've mentioned, I'm sure it wasn't that great as well. I'm sure you had your own...
it was not at all great. Honestly, back then, if you look at it, it was... I used to be like putting myself to sleep. There were nights when I used to be like, why me? And you know, all those questions.
Right.
And in the process, what happens when you come from a little dysfunctional family?
Right.
You mature a little early.
Right, and there is always two ways to it, Aditi.
Yeah.
There's also another way. I mean, you luckily have chosen the brighter side, but there's also a darker side to it,
Because
where people, where students, where children of your age might get, just vanished into, and you know, terrible things can happen.
I'll give a lot of credit to my grandparents for that.
Right.
Because that's what I'm saying. Like every evening, I remember being in 3rd, 4th standard, and we are talking about Osho, and I'm talking about, you know, all these books, and you know,
Right.
I remember so much of study material used to come from London, and we are just sitting and we're reading all those journals and all of that. So, 2 things. One, I fell in love with words. I fell in love with the world of words. It was so mesmerizing. It kept me sane. I think probably that also answers your question about poetry. Like
right.
that's my sane zone. And I fell in love with elderly generation. I fell in love with old people. Like I always tell, I want to age. I can't wait to turn 60, you know. In this noise of anti-aging, I can't wait to become 70 and 60 and all of that, because I think they've seen the entire world.
Right.
They have slowed down. They know right and wrong. But that is something me now talking, all of this, right? When I was a kid, I used to be like a crybaby, like why my parents don't come for PTM, you know, why I don't have friends and I don't go to birthday parties, and small dreams of a kid. But then all of that I used to keep writing. That's all I used to do back then. But then fortunately, when my uncle and my aunt, they adopted me and all of that, I saw what love can do to you. Right? That was a very different kind of love.
Right.
And I learned that any chance you get to shower love on somebody, please never miss upon that, because it could be a game changer in anybody's life. You know, so yeah, I was unfortunate in few ways, but I was extremely lucky because I lost my mom, but I found my mother in like so many more people.
Wow.
So I got like 10 times that love. So either I could be cribbing about that, or I could be looking at so many more mothers loving me today.
Right.
I have nothing to complain. I think my mom is pretty happy knowing she's been taken care of.
Wow.
So this is
and I'm sure she's proud of you as well.
Thank you.
And of course, I'm thankful that you're here with me on the podcast.
Likewise.
I really love understanding people's perspective on life, and you know, you don't, when let's say if I've seen you, you know, somewhere on a mall or in a theater, I don't think I would have known all of these things about you. And you know, we human beings, we just take even people for granted, right? Their stories, their experiences to be granted. I don't think we would have known each other for so long, and then the assumptions, oh, okay, she looks this way, so she must be happy. He looks this way, so he must be happy, or you know, he's poor, he must not be happy. But then stories are completely different, right? You just can't say what kind of stories or what kind of experience someone might have gone through.
Yes.
So, you know, that comes to our important question. So this is the most important question of our podcast. So when I started this podcast, it was about me, because I also have a certain perspective on life. I think life is in a certain way, but then life is all about experiences, and since we all experience life in different ways, I want to understand people's perspective on life. Do they think life is fair? Do they think life is unfair? Do they think life is worth it? Do they think life is not worth it? Etc. Etc. All these questions. So since I have this kida of asking this question to everyone, I want to ask you, what do you think life is all about according to the experience that you have had?
It is so worth it. It is so worth it. Like many a times, even in my hardest of the days, I've asked myself, is there anything I would like to change about my life? Nothing. I just love it the way it is. And I always tell myself 2 things. If I'll ever have a biography or a biopic to myself, I would title it as She Did It.
Okay.
Or Conquered.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Then, because that has been a little go-to motto since childhood, you know.
Wow.
So I don't want to be like, let's be optimistic all the time. All of that I was not. I had the terrible days and all of that. I'm being very realistic. I'm no Buddha and all of that. But then I maneuvered through it, and I'm very happy to who I am today. And if I were to meet that 5-year-old self, I think I'll have a good sound conversation, and I think I'll tell her she's in a good space, nothing to worry.
Right.
So that being it, another thing I always tell my team, and I tell myself many a times, that I'm in a business of hope. I really would like to meet anybody as a producer, as a friend, or whatever, even as a stranger. If I can give you a little ray of hope, something to look forward to in life, I think I am good. I don't want to sound preachy and all of that, but this is actually what I genuinely believe in, that in too much of a noise and everybody being out there, and a little hope to somebody might just be a game changer, because I was very lucky by myself to have so many people coming to me and supporting me and giving me that little love at the right time when I needed the most.
Right.
And they came literally as an angels and they saved my day. So I would really want to spread that around as well.
Right. I just love the fact how you're very much grateful to life, right, for the things that happen to you, in a way, good or bad, but then you're taking all the good parts together, and now looking at in a way where you find the bad parts being very small, very minuscule, and then the good parts, all of that. I hope that people listen this part of yours, so that even they get that kind of hope back into their lives. But then I also understand it was very tough, right, because for me, when my mom goes out for a month, let's say, sometimes she visits her hometown for a month or something, and I know how difficult it is. I know how the whole family struggles, right from my father till my younger brother. And for something like this to happen, in a way, I'm privileged. But then to think of you to actually losing your mom at a very early stage, where you don't even know the meaning of losing someone, right? Where you don't even know whether they are coming back or not, and it's a very ambiguous situation. But then the kind of Aditi you are today is like tremendous. It's inspiring as well. And I really, really wish people know your story, because once they know your story, they will look at you in a different perspective altogether again. They won't be looking at you as a producer anymore. They would look at you as a human being.
I think I would want to be remembered for only that, because I think everything else is just a tag. But deep down, what we all are completely real, vulnerable humans. And we just need to work more on that part, Right. So we have spoken about, you have mentioned about your school, your college, and then your work life, all of this. I want to understand about your love life now, because see, there's this another segment of our podcast. I'm just telling you because you might not have watched it completely, because we are relatively very new. So since it is relatively new, I'm telling you, because after a month or two you would understand, because you're going to be a bigger part of our journey. So we have this segment where we talk about your love life. What do you think of love? So I'd ask you that question. I'm sorry if I'm taking too much leverage. No problem, please.
So tell me what love is for you, and how has love happened to you, because you have just mentioned that you have had a story of yours. I want to know about it, and I'm sure people would be really interested to know about it.
So I was, as I told you, for me, I've been lucky in love in many ways. One, the romantic love. One, I've got some really right people. For example, when I fell in love, I was not just lucky to get a good husband, I was also lucky to get amazing in-laws. Like the strongest woman I know and I can think of today is my mother-in-law, who walks into every room, and she's so proud to say that my daughter-in-law is a film producer. She's not somebody who's told me even once that, Aditi, why are you shooting late night, and how are you managing in 200 and odd men, and how are you doing this? She's somebody who's like, just go for it, and I think you can do it. And I think she's somebody who's taught me financial independence. She's somebody who's like, "Are you worth it? Why you cannot buy this to yourself? You go for it. You like something." She's my mother. She's my best friend. She's my biggest cheerleader in the room, and she's all of that. So so I think I just got lucky in a way that I got a big chunk of love, what I missed in childhood. I remember my grandmother blessing me, saying, I know you never had a childhood, but once you grow up and you get married, I really wish you get your childhood back. So I think I'm literally that kid at home, and I wish I always never lose upon that innocence. All thanks to the people I have around me. So
No, I really, really want to pitch in here that you just mentioned about your mother-in-law, and she sounds more like your mother. You just mentioned,
She is.
and I think this is for everyone out there. All the beautiful mothers, don't be just the mother of your son. Be also the mother of your daughter-in-law. I think that would be the best gift anyone can
I think
ever
she's
have.
very partial. She's just my mother, and the son is adopted.
I know,
It's literally
because
like that.
because I've seen many relationships. To be honest, Aditi, of course I'm too young to be saying about
Yes,
this,
yes.
but I've seen relationships where the problem comes from the mother-in-law.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they take their role too seriously that they sometimes forget that even the daughter is someone's daughter or the son is someone's son. Right. So I think there's a huge problem there. And just now that you've mentioned, I think it's really beautiful. And I would also, let's say, if I get married tomorrow or someday, I would boast that my mother, I mean, when you get into a relationship, let's say I get a girlfriend, I don't think I would say much about me, but I'd also say much about my mother, like what kind of offerings that I can give, but also my family can give to you.
That's very important.
I think the love that I receive today and the love whatever that I give to my partner tomorrow, I think it would be all from my own mother, from my own mother's sister, whatever they have given to me. I think that is where I can channelize it to it.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because see, I think you also will bring a part of your mother inside you.
Right.
Literally, how you take care of your girl is nothing but your mother.
Right.
Right. How she taught you, and for example, my guy is like very independent.
Okay.
Right. Like he can cook
I just
by
love the way
himself.
you've mentioned my guy. It's very cute.
Yeah, so he's pretty independent and he cooks well. He's an amazing cook and he's a perfect balance of a masculine and feminine energy.
Right.
He knows how to treat a woman well.
Right.
He's been all of it. Like he accepts his flaws, he accepts his strengths. He's very well aware about himself.
Right.
Similarly, my Amma, like I call her Amma. My mother-in-law, she's a gynecologist. Okay, she's a doctor, extremely strong woman. She's seen so many childbirths. She's seen so many things in her life. But with the amount of grace she presents herself, my mother-in-law being one person, my father-in-law, even so, I come from. I mean, my in-laws, they're all a bunch of doctors actually. Right. But the modesty in which they present themselves and with the open hearts and arms they accepted me, like back then, I'm talking about 15, 16 years back, there was this taboo of North Indian, South Indian wedding and all of that. But the minute we broke the news and with such big hearts they accepted us and all of that, I think I'm too lucky. That's it.
No, I really feel happy as well. I also want my story to be as happy as yours. And why not? Because when we see people like you who are giving examples of being happy, because it's very tough to actually find a happy couple these days, I'm telling you. Happy families these days, I'm telling you. I have maybe 10 out of 7 or 8 I listen to sad stories, but it's really interesting for you.
I think, sorry to cut you down here, I think it's also there a lot about the effort we are willing to put into a relationship.
Right.
The problem is today I have seen everybody with a long bucket list.
Right.
This should be there, this should be there, this should be there. You can't be like that.
Right.
The Aditi, my husband married me or I married him versus what we are today, I think we are completely different people. Right. We have evolved over the time. Like we were so stupid back then when we got married. If I were to say, like you put in that effort every single day into every single relationship, right? And you can't be like, 10 years I put in the work, now let it be self-sustaining. You can't be like that. And you have to wake up with the fact that is it worth putting in that effort? Right? And I'm a proper old schooler by heart, Baba. I am somebody, I can't understand aaj ka dating scenarios. I can't understand anything per se. I'm a heavy old schooler. I want Meena Kumari songs. I want old songs. So this is how I want my love and my family and everything to be. Yeah. So I don't belong to that fast pace of relationships and I don't understand it either.
No, to be honest, I'm also an old soul. I don't think I should be saying this, but then it's really tough to actually have all of that. It is really tough for us, for me, because I am an old soul and I don't understand even today people in my generation. I really don't get them. Right. And I sometimes feel that maybe I'd not get married maybe my whole life. I don't know. This is what I say to my friends as well. Like, बहुत problems चल रही हैं बाहर.
I have a lot of people. I have very near and dear ones in my team also. They're like, I don't want to get married, ma'am. I'm like, dude, I used to say exactly the same thing.
No, I want to get married, but then
Yeah.
it's tough to actually find, someone like this. The way you have mentioned, I'm just hoping that one day I would also talk about someone with the same intensity, with the same
Right.
love, with the same passion.
Right.
It's just not there now.
But how
Why
do
do you
we
think?
know?
Why do you think it's not there now?
But how do we know it's not there? Like, you have to be open to, jab right kind of love comes now, you have to just dig into it and not leave it. You have to have that audacity, literally. Like, I used to be somebody, I'm like, dude, seriously, marriage and blah, I want to live my life and get married at 30, and I got married at 23, dude.
Really?
I was not even
You were
prepared for it.
23? Oh.
Yeah, I was like, love, marriage, I need a solid family. I was craving for a
Right,
family
right,
of my
right,
own,
I
right?
understand.
And I was like, if I'm getting married, शादी तो तब भी करनी है, 5 साल बाद भी करनी है, कोई आ गया तो कर लो ना, what is the problem?
Right.
So I am somebody, if somebody is coming and you find it's a right fit, go for it and don't give up on it if you really think it's worth it.
Right.
It won't be rosy, you'll have fights, you'll have difference of opinions. Coexistence could be a very tricky game.
Right.
It is not easy. But today, because of so many fancy factors, we are like only this and this and this and this needs only, then we'll go ahead with it.
Okay.
So yeah, but
I think the next question would be very interesting for you. How many years have you been in the marriage?
15.
15, right? So tell me please the mantras of a happy marriage.
Do as much bullshit as possible.
Really?
Don't be so serious. You don't know. That's what I'm saying. I am nobody to give you any mantra, dude.
Okay.
It's just that be friends. Like, so we are a couple, we decided to be child free by choice. We were very clear that we don't want the baggage of kids and all. With all due respect to the beautiful
Alright.
parents and the kids out
understand.
there, but we were very clear, like, we don't want kids and all of that. So we were aligned in many ways. We were okay with our difference in opinions. We fought for a lot of things. We came midway for a lot of things. And I think one bottom line is, more than just two of us, the amount of love we gave to our respective families.
Right.
My husband to my family and me to his family.
Right.
I think that is more important. Aajkal it is more about just the couple, na? But again, me being a old schooler, I'll say कि नहीं, ये पूरी tribe involved होती है.
Right.
Right? You cannot be in this era of I am happy all by myself and all of. I am extremely a contented person all by myself. You leave me in a room for a month and I'll be the happiest being solo. If somebody can add on to that little space I have, then only go for it.
Right.
And luckily my guy did add on a lot of beautiful things into that space.
Wow.
Right? And
I'm quite jealous.
you are allowed to be.
Right.
No, but that's very sacred. And again, I'm saying it's not like we broke up 20 times, dude, before we got married. So you need not be jealous. We have put in a lot of effort into it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That says, I have this saying that if you want to be a millionaire, work alone. And if you want to be a billionaire, you have to have a team.
You have to have a team, and I think husband and wife got a very solid team, because I'm a biggest fan of Michelle and Obama. Like, that couple they have inspired me and how I have lived every single interview and all their biopics and their journey and all of that, because being an ambitious couple in the same room could be very, very intimidating.
Right.
Right?
I get it.
Yeah, because you can have big dreams
Right.
until they're aligned enough.
Right.
It could really go haywire. But also the striking the right balance ki you are the ambitious career driven couple, but you are also that bullshit a common man kind of a person. मतलब हम जितना भी ambition हो, जब हम घर आते हैं, we are like normal people who want to just chill and watch something. Yeah, if nothing, I just put some old songs and just sit by yourself and all of that. So there are too many things involved into a relationship. I mean, I don't want it to be a relationship podcast.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So it takes a lot of effort as well, but make sure it's worth it. Invest into a right person.
Wow. Right. In the same way, I look up to SRK and Gauri Khan actually.
Yes.
And I believe Shah Rukh Khan is Shah Rukh Khan today because of Gauri Khan also. I don't know. I somehow believe in that way. Because I think you always need that support, when you go back home.
Support, हाँ. और पता मेरी लाइफ का फंडा ये है कि एक चीज़ सेट है ना, बाकी चीज़ें हम लोग सेट कर सकते हैं.
Right.
You can't be like setting your career and your banner and your things and that, and here also, at least for me, it's too much taxing for me.
Right.
And I'm like, one thing is set ना, ये set है, आगे मैं कुछ भी कर सकती हूँ.
Right.
So one pillar you have to be very stable with.
Right.
And we are very, very independent thinkers, but we deal with codependency very beautifully as well. So right, so I think, as you rightly said, ki Shahrukh is beautiful Shahrukh by himself, but when it's Gauri and Shahrukh, it's a world
together. Right.
Yeah, so you have to be very beautiful on your own, very complete on your own, but when you're together, it should be a kick-ass world.
Right.
That's what I think.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about this, the no child policy, the no child couple, because I think this is there, but people are not vocal about it.
Right.
And people actually do not know the right direction. I mean, even though they commit to something like this, there's no proper direction, and sometimes things fall apart. So I want to understand, what is this? I want you to explain to me again. What is this no child policy for couples?
It is nothing, yeah. It's as simple as that. I mean, with the little knowledge what I have, it's about, at least back then, women were nurturers, right? Men were out there hunting, right? What is the common point where they meet? That is only if they procreate.
Right.
You can have your individual goals and purpose of life, but some common point is very important.
Right.
That used to be their kid. Right? कि चलो और कुछ नहीं है, whatever differences they have, but once the kid comes, somewhere they have to come midpoint, and they have a bigger thing to look forward for apart from just two of them. Right? Like for us, what is there? For my husband and me, it's like we don't want kids because we're pretty complete in our own world, and we have bigger motives, which are beyond just two of us. Right? So I think it's as simple as that. You have to make a choice. I am a beautiful nurturer because I really want to nurture my tribe, my team, my people, my families. But do I wish to nurture another human being? And that too in today's era where it's too much of a not so right environment, if I were to say it, if I'm allowed to say that, I'll rather be happy in whatever little world we are into.
Perfect.
Instead of procreating and then, yeah.
Right, amazing. So we have learned more about your personal life and professional life, but I want to understand, Aditi, as a producer, what is there in the store from here on?
Okay, so I am here, as I told you, I'm not here to fit myself into a bubble. I'm here to tell some really visionary stories, extremely entertaining, ringing the box office numbers, all of it. But I am in no race to prove myself to say that what he can do, I can do too.
Okay, right.
I want to do it in my own
style. Do you think this race is there?
For few people it is.
Okay.
For few people it's not.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's a very subjective call. But for me it's not. For me and my team, we are very, very clear what kind of stories we want to tell. We don't want to just depend on XYZ factors in order to thrive and make it big and all of that. We work in pretty different strategy. How should we go about it and all of that, and in very near future you'll be knowing what exactly do I mean by this. Right. So I have some good announcements.
No, I'm looking forward to. Looking forward to. You really have lots of things up your sleeves. I can sense it. So
yeah, so like if you see my first one as creative producer, which is Malli Modalaindi, and now Chaari, like the pretty diverse, but pretty different in its own way.
Right.
And upcoming ones are going to be extremely even more diverse in ways. So yeah.
Right. Well, all the best for that.
Thank you.
But I'd be, since you're on our podcast, I really wish if we could be the first ones to get the latest updates from your studios. I think that would be great.
Maybe at the right time. It's still
of course.
Absolutely, yes.
Of course.
Yes.
So since you have spoken about all of this, I just want to understand your dreams. So what's your dream? What's your ultimate goal?
Career-wise.
Anything that you think would be, something that would be your ultimate goal.
I have multiple dreams. I'm a woman who believes we can do it all.
Okay.
I really want to do a lot of things. For example, I want to make it extremely big in Telugu cinema with the right kind of content, and I want to take Telugu cinema to a global level.
Perfect.
I want to see Barat Studios and Telugu movies on the world map.
Wow.
I want to bring in some very, very interesting collaborations. I believe in collaborations. I believe in collaborations with the right energies. I believe in right kind of people coming together and creating magic. So I have a lot of plans around my stories and the kind of people I wish to work with. I want to go around the world. I want to create a small poetry community. I visualize myself sitting in some XYZ cafes in some France or Paris or somewhere, going and narrating some of my poetry out there, going and meeting some poets out there. I really wish to, go across the world through my content, take my team out there, work in some different manners, create content, I still want to create music videos, I want to make films, I want to create poetry, I want to do all of that.
Okay.
I might sound as mad, but yeah, that's how.
No, I can relate to it because I am also always let's do all kind of a person.
All, yeah.
And I think the best thing comes when you are able to give your time to each and everything, and you know that balance. And for me, luckily, I think the balance comes very easy for me. I think that's why I also do multiple things, and I'm still here.
But unlike you, I am not at all that organized. I cannot do all by myself, and I'll give all the credit to my team because I'm extremely fortunate where there are a lot of balancing energies in my team where they know, okay, there are people who can calm me down, there are people who can put some ideas into my mind which are so much better than what I could have thought of. So they are way more smarter than what I am. Like the first criteria is ki kaam mein you can be 18-19, character mein you should be 20.
Wow.
For me that is very
Who taught you
important.
this?
Okay, so this is.
No, there are lots of things that you've told, which is very contrasting to how I perceived you in the first place.
Okay.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
No, but that's how it is. And then I've been there are a lot of the right people who have influenced me in this life. So that somebody just made he works. That somebody works similar to what I work, and we have a similar dreams and all of that. So then I'm very, very particular about the character part of it, how my team should be. There are some tick marks I want to be.
Right.
Work you can learn on the go. That is something not impossible. तो वो ऊपर नीचे चलेगा, लेकिन अपना strong being me being old schooler की value system, rooted character वो सब एकदम बिंदास होना चाहिए. बाकी सब we can figure it out on the go.
Wow.
I am also learning things. Like with every film I am evolving.
Right.
So then when I am only learning still, how can I tell them you be this and be that? So that's unfair.
Right.
Yeah.
And I really wish all the best for Barat Studios and you. I really want you breaking many ceilings from here on. But having said that, I want to understand the story behind Barat Studios and the name that you have given to it. Why Barat? I know the meaning of Barat, literal meaning of Barat, but I want to understand the story behind the name.
Okay, so the thing is, I am a big fan of Urdu language per se.
Poetry, I understand.
Yes. So, Barkat, Kudrat, all these are my favorite go-to words.
Wow.
Okay, and there are a lot of people who have inspired me of starting the banner the way I want to do. Like if you see my office and if you see my studio and all of that, we work very differently. You'll see more of ghar ka vibe. There's no hierarchy, and Barkat doesn't work with, you cannot enter that room. And my very core tribe is there. We are about 6 or 7 of us. Everybody knows everything about us. Okay, there are no filters in there and all of that. So Barkat means abundance. It means prosperity. That has been my favorite word. We all have our favorite words, right?
Right.
So that's how it was Barkat. And then Barat Studios was obviously meant to be this.
Right.
Then what else did you ask me about?
The story of Barat.
The story of Barat is nothing here. So I really wanted to start up my own banner. I am somebody who believes in this thing. The right thing will choose you. More than like me choosing it each time. I kept things ready. And it was a beautiful case of serendipity where the bunch of investors, after Malli Modalaindi, they saw a film and they saw me, my director, my team operating and all of that. So they got a lot of credibility and they thought that, they would really want to invest in the right kind of teams.
Right.
And I found some beautiful humans as my investors. They trusted in our vision, they trusted in me and my team, and we ended up, raising funds and operating and all of that. But now I'm looking at a bigger picture and bigger collaboration. So inshallah, step by step, I'm working towards it.
Wow. Yes. So all the best. And
also about the point what you mentioned, that usually the producers are perceived with the people with big money.
Right.
So it used to be an era about that, but today there are producers. They have bigger dreams in their pockets.
Right.
And then they can multiply little money into bigger money.
Oh.
So I think that little segment of producer is where I come from.
Okay.
Who never had such big money, who always had a big vision and a biggest of the dream in the room.
Alright.
But I had the capacity, I had the talent to fetch a right team, to raise a certain money, to produce the right content,
Right.
multiply the money further and keep producing it more.
Wow.
So that's the kind of strategy I work.
All right. Having said
much.
that, I think this is it for the podcast. I had really amazing conversation with you. I don't think I've ever had this long. Our cameraman can swear by. So this was one of the by far the longest conversations that I've had, and we also had a conversation like an hour or more before starting the podcast. So I think it was really great talking to you. But before we end this podcast, I just want to tell you that our podcast is about entertainment, information, and philanthropy.
Okay.
So we have spoken about the entertainment part, the information part we got from you. But now coming to the philanthropy part, what we'll do is we'll play a small game, a philanthropic dare. It's as simple as looking at each other and not blinking. Whoever blinks first would be losing the game. So it would be as simple as that. But then whoever loses the game, they have to perform a philanthropic dare.
Okay.
Yeah, it
And
can
what
be
would that
feeding underprivileged children. It can be feeding stray dogs. It can be volunteering a 1 hour of your time.
I would love to lose the game. Let's start.
No, but I want you to be very
Okay.
Yeah, very into the game, because whoever loses actually wins the game. I mean, there's no loser or a winner in this game.
Yes.
But at the same time, I want you to please be
Absolutely.
okay. All right.
Yes.
So we'll play that game, and whoever loses would actually have to perform a dare. So we'll have to pick a date, and then we'll go and we'll do whatever. All right.
Deal.
So the dares are written here. I have not seen the dares.
Okay.
And I can swear by.
Okay.
So we'll look at each other. Whoever blinks first will lose the game. All right.
Okay.
Shall we start the game? Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Sure.
Oh, by the way, I've never lost this game.
I can easily lose this game because I did
lost.
it.
All right, but since I know we are not going to lose, I'm sure you'd love performing the dare. So choose any number out of 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, any number.
2.
2?
Yeah.
It says feed stray dogs.
I would love to.
All right.
Lovely. Okay.
All right, perfect. So you have lost the game, and now you're going to perform the dare.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
We'll
Dev. You're
meet soon.
doing a great job.
Thank you.
I love your zeal. I love your energy. I love the kind of questions you asked. And you are here to rock it.
Thank you. Thank you. That's the validation we wanted. Thank you, team. Thank you.
Thank you.